Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have Luca Mining. It trades on the OTCQX under the symbol LUCMF and on the TSX-V under the symbol LUCA and on the Frankfurt under the symbol Z68. It's a diversified Canadian mining company with two 100% owned producing mines within the prolific Sierra Madre mineralized belt in Mexico, which hosts numerous producing and historic mines along its trend. Please welcome its CEO, Dan Barnholden. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Anna. Happy to be here. Looking forward to a good session here today. I think it's useful to give a little bit of my background prior to jumping into the presentation, because I think it gives a little bit of context for why I joined this company and why I believe so strongly that it's a wonderful investment opportunity. I spent the last 20 years, prior to joining Luca 5 months ago, I spent the last 20 years as a mining-focused investment banker. So I have been involved with the financing and advising literally hundreds of junior mining opportunities such as Luca, and I see all of the ingredients here at a wildly undervalued price. And so I've personally invested over $1 million of my own and my family's money, and I continue to be an active buyer in the market on a daily basis. So I see all of the ingredients present to have an emerging mining company. We have 2 operating assets that I'll describe to you here today, and then happy to take questions at the end of the session. So on the front page of the presentation, you will see 3 keywords, which are really the 3 pillars of value for Luca and how we expect to create value over the course of the upcoming months and years. Those words are optimization. We have 2 operating mines in Mexico, as Anna mentioned. One is called Campo Morado. It's in the south of Mexico. It's in Guerrero State. There are many operating mines near there. Some that viewers might be familiar with would be the Morelos complex, which is owned by Torex, and of course Los Filos, which is owned by Equinox. On the other hand, we've got Tahuehueto, which is in northwest Durango State, not too far from First Majestic's San Dimas project. So operating in 2 highly prospective belts. We are in the process of ramping one of those assets up, brand new mine, Tahuehueto, and optimizing and bringing back into a cash flow scenario the Campo Morado mine. Assuming we get that optimization right, we have just had to join us 3 very, very experienced explorationists, and we are going to invest heavily in exploration with a plan to ultimately expand. This year, we're going to do 60,000 ounces. I believe that from the current footprint with the assets that we have, we will do 100,000 ounces in 2025, and we have the potential to grow these assets on their current footprint to 150,000 ounces gold equivalent production over the course of the upcoming years. Just very small print there, forward-looking statements. As mentioned, we are in Mexico. We consider ourselves to be Mexican mining experts. As mentioned, we've got the Campo Morado mine, which is in among the Guerrero Gold Belt, not too far from those operating mines that I mentioned that belong to Torex and Equinox. And then, of course, our brand new mine, it's a gold mine, Tahuehueto, in northwest Durango State. We are a 50-50 gold and precious metals and base metals producer. Most importantly, we have gold at about 35% of our production profile, followed by zinc, copper, silver, and a little bit of lead. So 50-50 precious and base metals. Here's where we sit today. We're going to do 60,000 ounces gold equivalent production this year at an average cash costs thus far through 9 months of $1,842. So plenty of room for margin there. Today it's about $800 an ounce. We've got de-risked operations. And what I mean by that is that we have every permit required to operate. In fact, we are in operations. We've got 2 operating underground mines. Lots of rumors and innuendo about issues around permitting in Mexico first and foremost, we don't believe that that those are going to be forthcoming, the restrictions on open pit mining, but also importantly, those would not have impact us in any way, shape, or form. We've got $500 million in infrastructure. The replacement cost today to build the assets that we have would be well in excess of $500 million. We've got 2.5 million ounces gold equivalent resource, and that resource and our throughput both have very, very substantial upside potential. We are cashed up. In September, we raised $11.5 million Canadian at 45 cents with a half warrant for 18 months at 60 cents. On October 1st of this year, we put out a press release. That was the first day of Q4, and it really lays out the 6 catalytic opportunities that we are focused on between our mines and at corporate. We are currently working on ramping up throughput at Campo Morado. We have a mill on site that is able to process 2,400 tons per day. Right now, for the first half of the year, we were doing 1,400 to 1,600 tons per day. So in July, we engaged a mining contractor. That mining contractor has a mandate to get us to 2,000 tons per day throughput by the end of the year, and then move up quickly to 2,400 tons per day. So ultimately filling the mill, that's our first priority. Secondly, we are working with the international mining contractor Ausenco. Ausenco is working with us to optimize the performance of our mill. The mill had fallen into, it hadn't been well maintained. So we've been working with Ausenco, and I'll get into what exactly that we're doing with them. However, the net result is going to be massively improved recoveries and payabilities out of the ore and the concentrates that we are processing and producing at Campo Morado. Lastly, exploration at Campo Morado. We haven't, this company has not run a drill program at Campo Morado in well over a decade. In fact, 2011 was the last meaningful exploration work that was done. And so big opportunity for us to get out and explore, remind people what exactly Campo Morado is and can be. Over at Tawaweto, which again is our brand new gold mine, we expect to be in commissioning or fully commissioned by mid-January. We're just putting some finishing touches on that commissioning, and we expect to declare commercial production early to mid-January. And then exploration. We have been exploring for about, drilling for about a month or so. We've completed 3 holes. The visuals look really extraordinary. And so we expect to have drill results in early 2025. And then lastly, at a corporate level, we intend to pay down debt. In fact, we made almost $1 million in debt repayments between October and November, and that continues apace. We expect to be fully debt-free by July of 2026, or if some of the cash flow projections that we have come to fruition, well before that. What this means, assuming that we are able to execute on all 6 of those pieces, we will have 2 permitted, producing, cash flow generating, profitable mines, 100% owned. Those mines will have very, very significant development and resource upside, planning to double the resource at both sites, and as I outlined, expand the production profile very significantly. We'll have a clean balance sheet by 2026, July, or earlier, as mentioned. And then we'll have 2 very aggressive drill programs ongoing. I would venture to say that this company that we are in the process of moving towards will have a market cap substantially above the current $105 million Canadian market cap that we currently have. Diving in quickly to the asset base that we currently have, Campo Morado, as mentioned, there's a 2,400 ton per day mill on site there. This year, we expect to do 43 to 50,000 ounces gold equivalent production at cash costs in and around AISC in and around $1,650. Right now, we are producing a zinc concentrate and a bulk copper concentrate. As mentioned, we are moving in the direction of going to 3 separate concentrates, which would be a zinc concentrate, a copper concentrate, and then a bulk concentrate. As you can see, we are a polymetallic VMS style deposit, which means we produce zinc, copper, gold, silver, and a little bit of lead. Again, the replacement value of these of the assets that are on site here, well in excess of $500 million. There's very reliable grid power to site, very good roads, and of course, hundreds of thousands of meters of underground development on site here. As I mentioned before, we are working with Ausenco on this optimization of our mill. Where we are right now is in phase 3, and the primary attribute of phase 3 is that we're moving to copper, lead, zinc separation. You can see when we kicked this project off, we were only recovering in the low 40s of our copper in the top right-hand graph. As that has gone along, we've been able to move our copper recoveries up to 70%. And that 70%, that has it's the same amount of work, and we're recovering almost twice as much copper. So literally millions of dollars in free cash flow falling right to the bottom of the line as a consequence of the improvements that we're making at the mill. And so that's an ongoing project that we are working on now, and we expect to be in a position to produce 3 separate concentrates, massive improvements to cash flow by the end of Q1 or early into Q2 2025. Assuming we get all that right on the optimization front at Campo Morado, and I have no reason to believe that we won't. Exploration, and as I mentioned, this asset was sold for $410 million in 2010. There's really been no exploration done by the group that bought it. They ultimately ended up in an administration situation. And so we went back to the original owners and we got all of the technical data that they had produced because it belonged to us. So we went and got all the surface and structural mapping. We got all the soil samples, hundreds of thousands of meters of drilling, geochem, gravity, aeromag, et cetera, et cetera. And what we did with that information is we produced 38 high-quality exploration targets. We distilled that 38 to a top 10. And of that top 10, 4 are actually in our mining concession where there is active mining. So there isn't a long permitting process to go out and get those drill permits. So what we are able to do is certainly on the first 4 of 10 targets is we can go out there with a 2-week notice period and be drilling almost immediately. So we expect to start drilling later this month. And in Q1, we will have, my belief, an opportunity to produce some very impressive drill results right out of the chute. Moving along to Tawahueto, again, brand new mine. It's built for 1,000 tons per day processing. This year, we're going to do 17 to 20,000 ounces gold equivalent resource. Again, it's a primary gold mine, epithermal style deposit. Grading about 2.5 grams per ton gold with silver, copper, lead, and zinc byproducts, which massively improve the grade profile. So we are at the current time mining in excess of 3 grams per ton. We have ongoing mining. First half of this year, we did 400 to 500 tons per day. That has ramped up quickly since the financing to the point where we are now processing 800-900 tons per day. And again, we expect to declare commercial production sometime early in Q1 2025. You can see the mine, and again, it's a brand new mine. It's into the side of the mountain. We mine here into this portal here, the 12 and 14 portal, and the level 20 portal. We crush here at the crushing circuit. Gravity really works in our favor here, processing plant here, and then tails further into the valley here. Why I like to show this slide is it demonstrates here on the next slide. Here's where we're mining here on the left-hand side of the mountain where it says El Creston. We're mining on the Creston vein and the Perdido vein. But the real opportunity for us here is exploration. And you can see that the veining is well known on the left-hand side of the mountain, which is where we're mining, but also on the right-hand side of the mining where we've done some early initial exploration work. Where we haven't explored, but we have every reason to believe that the vein goes right through the mountain. And this has the potential to massively and quickly expand our resource potential. I believe that there's a multi-million ounce gold resource hiding here on this site. And we've got a very aggressive drill campaign planned. and actually ongoing here at Tawa Weto. And the plans are to drill into this highly prospective gap in through the middle of the mountain, extend mineralization to depth, along strike, and then this map here, sorry, this figure here, this picture, it's not very visible at this size, but what it demonstrates is that there are 14 known veins, and the resource that we have delineated is only delineated on 4 of those veins. So there are an additional 10 known veins that we intend later in the year to get out and start to explore. So a very aggressive, active drill campaign planned for Tawa Weto that is ongoing. Onto our corporate stats, we have almost exactly 200 million shares outstanding. On a fully diluted basis, we have 294. The reason for that big dilution is we've got a very large warrant position due in April of 2025, 22.4 million shares coming in at 50 cents, and another 16.4 coming at 50 cents in June of 2025. So my expectation is that we will get all of those warrants exercised. Use of proceeds for those warrants will be to pay off our debt. And so again, we will get to that debt-free scenario much, much quicker in reality than that July of 2026. So again, hearkening back to the early slide where we talk about what this company is going to look like, I think that by July of 2025, we could be debt-free, 2 operating mines, very aggressive exploration plans, and major cash flow potential to be produced. You can see here our ownership base, largely a retail ownership base. That financing that we completed in September was a little bit of institutional, but largely retail investors from across Canada and a little bit in the US. We do have a couple of large insiders that own a sum total of about 25% of the company. And we are, part of my mandate as a former institutional guy is to come in and try and get research, broaden out and expand our institutional investor profile, and also improve our liquidity. You can see our liquidity has bounced up very substantially here over the course of the last couple of months, which means that it's very, I won't say easy, but there's an opportunity to get in and get out of the stock, even for large positions. Onto the team quickly. Some people that I'm very proud to be working with. Neil O'Brien, in particular, he was the VP of Exploration for Lundin Mining. Lucas Lundin's right-hand man for about 20 years, was integral in the building of Lundin Mining from a less than $100 million company to a multi-billion-dollar company. He was responsible for the work that Lundin Mining did at Neves Corvo, which was a VMS-style deposit in Portugal. Again, we've got a VMS-style deposit in Mexico, so Neil, very helpful. Phil Brummett, another former Lundin Mining guy. Ruben is the brother of the world's largest silver producer, Fresnillo, so very well-connected guy in Mexico. David Rhodes, a mining financier, founder of Endeavour Financial, and then Peter, mining financier out of London. Rory, a securities lawyer here in Vancouver. The team here, myself, Dan Barnholden, again, former investment banker, bringing my finance and strategic skills to bear on this opportunity. Ramon is our president and country manager. He grew up in Mexico, lives now in Miami. Paul Gray just joined us on the exploration side 2 weeks ago. He's got a track record of finding literally millions of ounces of gold over the course of his career. Armando, a Mexican national, born on a mine site, in fact, encyclopedic knowledge of the Mexican mining space. And then Lisa and Israel round out our finance team. So what's next for this company? As mentioned, ramping up and turning around Campo Morado, and that turnaround has really taken shape already. The ramp up at Tawa Weto to declare commercial production early in the new year, increasing revenues and ultimately cash flows. Assuming we get all that right, and again, I've got no reason to believe that we won't, Then it's growth in production and growth in cash flow, moving to that 100,000 ounces gold equivalent production in 2025. Very aggressive exploration plans at both sites, and then ultimately, when we achieve some of those goals, I believe the share price will be substantially higher. And then moving in to think about M&A. I am certainly not entrenched. No need for me to continue on. If there's a potential buyer for this company, happy to have somebody else fold this into a larger company. But of course, we will also look at M&A opportunities. So that's really the story. Again, I've been an aggressive buyer of this stock, bought again this morning. And I believe that the turnaround here is upon us, and I'm very excited to be shepherding this company over the course of the upcoming weeks, months, and years. So Anna, that's all for me. Happy to field any questions you or the audience might have.
Perfect. We do have some questions for you. Jell wants to know if you have any plans to proceed under the MOU with EnviroGold to recover metals from waste tailings.
Yeah, certainly. That is an opportunity that we think could be pretty substantial. Going back to this slide here, you can see that if we were throwing away, if we were only recovering 40 to 50% of our copper, that means that we potentially have in excess of 50% of the copper that we processed over the years actually in the tailings. So it is a big blue sky opportunity. I don't talk too much about it. Certainly EnviroGold is an option, and they would come with all the finance to exploit what could be in the tails. But we frankly haven't done enough work because we've been focused largely on getting the assets operating in a profitable way. But it is a big blue sky opportunity. And we do intend over the course of 2025, probably in the back half, to investigate the value of the metals that could be in the tailings, and then ultimately to exploit that.
A question from Kinsey. First of all, congratulations on the growth year over year. 3 months looks like 60%. Is that sustainable, or do you see that tapering off?
Well, no, the growth is ultimately we're going to continue to grow. It was a question of capital, so our ability to raise capital in September is going to lend itself. I think that Q4 is going to demonstrate when we put out our financials at the end of February 2025. There's going to be a huge step change in growth that is really a consequence of the capital that we raised in Q3. It's going to start to be made evident in Q4, and then into Q1, that growth profile is going to continue. So no slowdown in our growth profile, certainly over the course of the next several quarters ahead.
And Art wants to know if you see yourself having to go to the markets for funding, or you capitalize sufficiently to fund your exploration.
Yeah, look, I think that we are generating cash flow, so that's good. We do have those warrants that I mentioned. I do expect all of those warrants to come in. If those two things happen, the cash flow ramps up, the warrants come in, I don't imagine we will ever have to come to market again.
And Sandra asks, with your top 10 exploration projects, what are the target resources?
So they are, not to get too technical about it, but these VMS deposits tend to occur in pods. As I described in the presentation here on page 10, you can see that these are the original ore deposits that were found in the late 90s, and there are 5 of them. There's been substantial work done since that time, but there has been no new ore deposits delineated as a consequence of that. So really the mandate for the exploration team that we hired here is to come in and delineate additional pods. And those pods tend to be zinc, copper, gold, silver, and a little bit of lead. Depending on where we are in this system, they can be more copper rich. So obviously right now with copper at $4 a pound, very good time to try and be producing and discovering new copper-rich zones in the deposit. Hope that answers that question.
I'm sure it did. Quinn asks if you're planning to develop and manage production of your exploration projects, or will some of those be sold?
Well, we've really only got 2 mines, and so the exploration work that we are doing at those mines is to expand the resource and ultimately to expand production at mines. They're not discrete greenfields exploration projects that are further afield. They are near mine exploration, and ultimately anything that we find will be mined at the existing mining infrastructure. So it's not we're out looking for new mines. We're actually just looking to expand and improve the grades at the existing mines. And of course, if we're able to improve the grades, that falls to the bottom line. The obvious mining equation is tons moved times grade times recoveries. So we're actually working on all 3 aspects of that equation, trying to increase the tonnage that we move, trying to improve the grades of the rock that we're moving, and then ultimately with that project that on the prior slide here is really to improve the recoveries, i.e. the amount of metal that we get for every ton that we process.
And I was impressed by the qualifications of your new exploration team. How did you attract such a team like that?
A big part of it actually is my own personal relationships. These are both people that I've known for well in excess of a decade. I actually financed both of them. Jillian Carville was VP of exploration for a company called New Strike. They made a discovery called Ana Paula, which currently sits in a company called Heliostar right now. I actually raised the capital. I raised $35 million for the discovery of Ana Paula, and Jillian and I have been in touch for 15 years. So she was thrilled at the opportunity to come and work with me on this project. And then Paul, who had previously been at Victoria Gold, found literally millions of ounces of gold up in the Yukon, but also has Mexican and Latin American experience. Again, a personal friend, somebody that I've worked with at great length over the course of the last decade or so. And so part of it tells a story a lot about the potential of the 2 mines that we have, but also the personal relationships that I have and I've built over the course of the last 20 years of financing companies in this sector.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, do you have any closing remarks for our viewers today?
No, I think that again, I'm thrilled to be associated with this opportunity. Thrilled to share it with you and your audience. Again, I think that it's a company that is just on the precipice of turning around and enjoying great success on the cash flow front, great success on the exploration front, and I think that this is going to be a new company next time when I come on and share all of the accomplishments that we've delineated over the course of the last 12 months.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to that update in 2025.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone,
Bye-bye.
Stay with us. We'll be back with Regen Biopharma at about 2:40. See you soon.